Welcome to Decoding Yoga. I'm Eli Aguilar and I am so happy, so thrilled to be here and to be launching this first episode, to be producing this space for all of you, because after so many years of training yoga teachers from all over the world, I have noticed that all of them, or at least majority of them, come to the yoga teacher training course with a lot of doubts, with questions, with myths and cues that they have heard during their practice, during their classes. They are confusing, they're not clear, or they carry a lot of misconception. So I've been training yoga teachers from all over the world for more than 9 years now. And I decided that after all that experience and after listening to all my students with these doubts and questions they have, I realized that a lot of us actually don't know what yoga is, or we have very wrong idea of what yoga is. Actually, when people ask me what is it that I do, and I say, well, I teach yoga, immediately they ask me for a yoga class and for postures. And I'm like, actually, that's not necessarily what I do, or what I have dedicated my life in the last years. So anyway, that's why I'm super happy, because this course is not necessarily for yoga teachers, it's for everybody. And hopefully here we will learn that yoga is a lifestyle. Yoga is something that we do 24/7, and the yoga is for everybody, irrespective of age, gender, fitness level, religion, beliefs, ethnicity, size, weight. It doesn't matter. As long as you have a body and a mind, you can be a yoga practitioner. So before we move into this more reasons of why I created this show, because this episode is about why we have this show, this new program here, let me tell you a little bit more about me. So as I said, my name is Eli. I'm from Costa Rica, and I did what society told me that I had to do, which was to go to college, get a degree, get good grades, and then get a job, a good job, get a mortgage, get married, have kids, and repeat that for 40 years. So, well, I didn't do all of that, but I did majority of that. I'm a psychologist. That's what I studied in university. I became a psychologist and I got the job. I was working in human resources. I never liked the one-on-one therapy kind of work, which was very surprising for a lot of people when they asked me, like, wait a minute, you are starting to become a psychologist, but you don't want to give therapy. I'm like, no, because there are so many fields that actually a psychologist can be useful. And I always knew that I love working with groups, so I didn't know exactly how to develop that. So I ended up in a corp world, in a corp job doing human resources, and I did that for about 10 years. Part of my work in that time was teaching workshops, and I was training people in companies, and I was happy, very happy when I was doing that. But then there was also some part of my job that I didn't like much, especially when I had to work with spreadsheets and Excel and all that. Anyway, so a part of me felt that, okay, this cannot be it, right? Life should be, I don't know, more than this. Costa Rica is a beautiful country, but it's a small country, and I needed to see the world. Long story short, I quit it. I sold everything that I had, and I left. I just bought one-way ticket to the US. That was my first stop. Honestly, I didn't know what I was going to do, what I was going to go. I just knew that I needed to get out and see the world and hopefully meet people and find some answers, honestly. So I left. I lived in the US for about 6 months. Then I went to London. I stayed there for 4 months, which was great. But then that was it. I didn't know what else to do. And back then I was already practicing Pilates, and I always like to exercise, and I was practicing yoga. I didn't like much, honestly, because it was a very gentle class. When I went to a yoga class for the first time, it kind of like it didn't resonate with me. My mind was it's been always very active, but and I'm a very young person, very fiery and active, and Gemini and air and all this. I'm Pitta in this Ayurveda doshas and all that. So I'm very fiery. So that gentle, soft practice didn't resonate with me. So, but somehow when I was in New York, when I was in the States, I reconnect with the yoga practice, because I found a very dynamic style of yoga. Back then, I didn't know that yoga have different styles when you practice asanas. That, by the way, is something that I will discuss, because people have this idea of yoga is when you sit quietly and it's easy and it's boring and it's slow and there's nothing to do with yoga, depending on the style that you choose. Anyway, so I found this great style when it was super dynamic and sweaty, and I was connecting with my breath. And for the first time ever, I realized that my mind was quiet, and I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God, finally my mind is quiet, because I was so focused on the breath and the movement. I remember the name of the class was Prana Flow, because it was one breath, one movement for 90 minutes. It was insane. I was high on oxygen. I was so happy, because I was doing warrior 2 and reverse warrior and going to all these poses, and I was so focused on my body, and I was so present that I'm like, I love this. I haven't been this present ever. I think I was always in the future. I'm that kind of person that goes into the future. So I fell in love with the physical practice of yoga. So when I was in London, I'm like, okay, so I'm kind of like halfway, because when you are from Costa Rica, India sounds like a different planet. It sounds so far away. So from London, I moved to India, and I'm like, okay, let me go and learn more about what is this, because for the first time, I'm getting something that I didn't get from anything else. So I ended up in the north of India in Sampoornayoga. That was my school back then. I did my yoga teacher training course. It was, I have to say that it was life-changing. My mind, my body, my soul learn new different things, and I'm like, this is what I want to do. I love this. I don't know how, I don't know what, but this is what I want to do. It was monsoon time, so I moved to Thailand for 4 months, and then I came back to Sampoornayoga when Sampoorna was opening the village we have now, the school that we have now in Goa, in Agonda Beach. So I came as an apprentice. I came to do whatever was needed. I just needed to soak in the world of yoga, and that was 2014, and that was it for me. I fell in love with India, Sampoorna, with yoga, and because of my background, I'm also a health coach, and I was teaching in university before I left Costa Rica. I immediately connect with the classes in the yoga teacher training course. I was finally so happy, because I was doing something that now I know that I am meant to be a teacher. So I was with groups of people, different groups of people every single month, teaching them the technical part of yoga. Myself, I was learning so much that yoga is not about asanas. I learned that yoga is a lifestyle, is a path, is a philosophy that help us to become better human beings at the end of the story. So I got so keen into philosophy, reading a lot of books, and anyway, so I stay there for, I've been there since then, and I've been teaching and listening to my students. Something that I love and that I appreciate is to learn from my students, because every single one of us are a unique individual, perfect universe. So this is when I start getting these questions, and for some of them I had the answers, and for majority of them I didn't. I was a student as well, so I have learned with my students all these years. And after 9 years now, this is 2022, we're here in this show because I want to share everything that I have learned as a student, as a practitioner, and as an instructor, what yoga really is. And hopefully by decoding these myths and these doubts and these questions, we can learn that, as I said at the beginning, that yoga is for everybody. That yoga is another method to have a life that is more, I don't know, I would say that is healthier for ourselves and for others, that we can share with others, that we can be the better version of ourselves that we can be, because at the end of the story, we're called to be the best that we can be. And there are many methods to try to achieve this, and yoga is one of them. So this is the purpose of this show, to develop, as I said, to decode, to unravel the mysteries and the misconceptions that we have about yoga, that we think that it's a religion. Is it, do I have to be flexible? Do I have to be young? Do I have to be strong? I cannot do headstand. Can I be a yoga teacher? The most common is I'm not flexible, that's why I don't practice yoga. And I'm like, okay, the first place you need to be flexible and it's in your mind, because it's to open up to new ways of doing things, and that's why we're here. So this is the why of this show. As I said, I'm super excited to continue teaching now through a different platforms. For many years I have taught in these in-person yoga teacher trainings that we do in Sampoorna in India. After, when pandemic came, we put all those courses online, and for 2.5 years we have been teaching the courses online as well. And what makes me very happy is that people actually realize that it doesn't matter if you want to become a yoga teacher or not. I do believe that everybody at some point of your life, everybody should go through a yoga teacher training course, because it can be life changing the same way that it was for me. So this space is also for you to if you have questions, if you have doubts, I will be so happy to read them, to take them here, to make an episode. I will be inviting some guests that they will be talking about different topics with me in this show. And the next week, actually, the next show, we are going to be talking, we're going to start from the beginning to learn what yoga really is. So we start getting the right information to hopefully make yoga part of our lives. So I want to appreciate everybody for listening to this first episode. I hope you will come back to this show and to share it with me. I'm extremely excited. I promise you to put all my heart and my soul into this, and I will be here for you to clarify whatever you want. And if I don't know the answer, I will be a student with you and we will learn together. So thank you so much for listening. And I will hear you back here next week. Thank you.